You're listening to Loose Cannon, the podcast that answers all the questions about the Star Wars universe you never thought you had. You're welcome, I guess.
So I've been looking back through our back catalog. By the way, this is the show we're recording right now.
Oh, damn.
I've been looking through our back catalog a little bit. I've noticed we make a lot of Friends jokes. Do you guys remember this in our 4-year run?
It's a very relatable show. I mean, it's the lifeblood of American culture.
In our Cantina episode, we liken it to Central Perk.
That was a good joke.
That was a great joke. I can't remember what episode it is, but we talk about New York apartments and how unrealistic they are, how cool they have it at Friends, and they don't even have that good of jobs.
I feel like that was recent.
That was pretty recent. That was in the last year.
I mean, Rachel literally does not have a job for most of Friends, and she's living in that apartment.
But she's super rich from like old money, so
that's true. Yeah. Man, I'm feeling a Friends spin-off podcast.
That's what I'm talking about.
Friends canon.
So one of my favorite podcasts is called Accidental Tech Podcast because they started a car show. And then because they're developers, they always end up talking about tech. And so I think we need Accidental Friends podcasts.
Or Mark Twain, or the Bible, or Batman.
Well, I would love a Mark Twain podcast.
Yeah, Accidental Mark Twain podcast.
I've never read a Mark Twain book, so it'd be pretty great.
The tables will turn there, where it's just going to be Alex is going to have all of the content.
Yeah. I think Mark Twain just silenced out.
We just lost Mark Twain for a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's one thing that's always weird listening back to older episodes, because you realize just how I don't want to say predictable you can be, like, and I say you speaking about myself, because you'll be listening to yourself saying something, and then as you're saying something, you're like, I also think this, and then of course past self that was recorded says that exact thing because it was you and you think that way.
Like, wow.
So it's even years later when you listen to it. Yeah.
So I think preemptively, and if you're a devoted listener, you might, commit this to memory. I'm thinking there's an April Fool's joke in here somewhere for next year. We missed it this year, but maybe next year we just do like Friends Loose Cannon.
I'm down.
Can you imagine, like, we just changed the logo, and then so it's Loose Cannon, but the little colorful dots in between?
I'm already feeling a cold open where we have Palpatine playing Joey or something like that. I ate all the calzones.
Why do we have a duck now?
Chandler being, we have a duck. That's a great Chandler impression I just did.
Yeah. Could we have any more ducks?
This is the Force. It's what you do. You force things.
Yeah. Oh man.
The Friends, the 90s, great times.
Yeah, good times. I'll say one last thing about Friends is, though, they were pioneers in schlocky sitcoms having great continuity. Like, when they have something happen, they don't just jettison it the next episode. They go with it for 4, 5, 6 more episodes. Like the chicken and the duck thing. I mean, we're rewatching it in Netflix right now. The chicken and the duck are still there into another season.
I mean, it's a smart move on their part because it's so ridiculous. They have a pet chicken and a pet duck for like no reason.
Right. And then they switch apartments for I think 10 or 11 episodes.
And doesn't Ross have a pet monkey for a little bit?
Yeah, that one's real short though. That was towards the beginning. One other thing though, because this is often lauded as the best sitcom or the sitcom, but Seinfeld would just forget things would happen, and then all of a sudden the next episode is just back to the way things used to be.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the Seinfeld pilot?
Probably.
I have not.
So I saw it for the first time a couple weeks ago. It's completely different. Like, not even the same show.
I don't remember though. It's obviously the same actors, right?
Not all of them. Elaine is not in it. There's a different actress for her. And instead of their like cafe, they're in some nicer restaurant. It's just very different. Mm-hmm. I would. It's on Hulu. Watch it.
I'm super concerned with the streaming universe that we're in now, in that you could super gaslight us into believing things never changed. So you could bury that pilot and pretend like it never existed, and nobody will know, because most of the public, and And funny enough, the not even millennials, but like the young generation Z are finding 90s sitcoms now and watching them on Netflix. And if you hid certain things and edited things, some of these kids will never know. You know?
There'll be like Full House truthers and Friend truthers. Or like, what is it on Brady Bunch? Oliver, like Oliver was real. He totally was around, and they're like, the episode's not on Netflix, man.
They could essentially have their own Mr. Poopy Butthole for any universe.
Exactly.
You know, like he was real the whole time.
Yeah.
Which
Go ahead. That would be so mind melting if like some showrunner just did a secret reunion and then just slipped it into the middle of some random season. Like, all the actors 40 years later or something, and just had them all do it and just didn't say anything, and just people had to stumble across that episode.
And with all this mocap deepfake stuff, they could totally like change it and make the film grainy, and we'll never know 10, 15 years from now.
Man, that's terrifying and incredible at the same time.
So, segue into Star Wars. Think about that with the special editions. There's going to come a time where nobody's going to remember that he messed with the special editions in 1997.
Oh, well, they will, because I mean the outrage will be etched into all of the like.
I suppose.
Here's the thing.
But as long as us 30-year-old people are, you know, you guys in their upper 20s, as long as you guys are alive, we're fine. But once we start dying off of early heart disease and diabetes, the kids won't care.
Well, here's the thing. Star Wars lore is separated into a couple different places. There is Star Wars canon. Hey guys.
Hey
there is Star Wars Legends, and there's Star Wars lore, which is essentially like meta lore, which is the era of like fan outrage after Episode 1 and how much people hated Jar Jar. And we always hated Jar Jar. He's the worst thing that ever happened. And or was like young Anakin the worst thing that ever happened? Or, you know, like Han shot first. Like I don't think we're ever going to forget the meme of Han shot first. You know, like that's just etched into Star Wars culture writ large. So I have a little bit of faith that that stuff will never leave the fan consciousness. And we will always be stewards of that culture.
Plus the fact that George Lucas doesn't control it anymore.
Yeah.
So there will be a marketing dollar available for somebody who wants to see the untouched version, and I'm very surprised that Disney hasn't done it yet, because we've heard rumors of it forever, and it's just another thing for them to sell.
Yeah. I'm imagining that like every day at ILM, they're just like walking around, and they have the intern have to go up to the door where like there's a really meek George Lucas just like gently tapping on the glass door, being like, "Can you let me in?" And you have to shoot him off every day.
What's that tap?
He just wants to come in and fool around with the old prince again and screw it up again.
And like I think he's
off our doorstep.
And Disney is contractually obligated to have him, you know, poke around for a little bit for like 15 minutes. Like, hey guys.
I wanted to see what it would be like if Java was a girl. Instead, I wanted to switch it. Get out of here, George. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I'm contractually obligated to be here for another 10 minutes and waste your time. So, like, that's a part of the HR orientation. It's like, I know it's against our, you know, we're super efficient. We want to run lean here, but you're going to get your time wasted a little bit. It's like the creepy guy in the office that just kind of stands over you and waits for you to be available, and then wastes 30 minutes of your time when you try to not make eye contact the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I feel like
that was you.
Oh.
In the same office.
That was me. Oh no. Hey Patrick, you wanna talk about Star Wars?
Oh God, he's here again.
And then you
Is that trivia we've talked about on the podcast, that we all worked in the same office?
Well, see, that's another thing that we could gaslight. I could edit out the parts in our old podcast where I mentioned that we worked together, and no one will ever know.
That's what I did to my brain. So
Yeah.
My memory's been wiped. I don't even know how I know you guys. Whenever Nick beckons
that unnamed job that we met each other at.
Yeah.
I'd go between I'll be honest. I think Alex was more willing to chit chat with me than you were, Patrick.
I was just in a deep depression.
Listen, as you guys saw, I spent every moment at that job walking around the office finding new people to talk to, so I didn't actually have to work, whether it was Star Wars or NBA basketball. I kept my days very full.
Yeah, because you did get all your work done in 2 hours, and then Chip chop. Okay.
That was about it.
Finding new innovative ways to be put on hold over at my desk.
And you guys listening to me bitch out customers. So.
Oh, that was the best.
Every once in a while, you guys would strap in, and I knew you like get the popcorn out.
Oh yeah, the whole office would get quiet at unnamed company, and we would just listen to Thrown Down.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful thing.
this is
You can't
this is a sitcom right here.
You can't throw down without a good weapon. You know,
Yeah.
right, guys?
Well,
And
as long as those weapons are doing a lot of destruction.
yeah, massive destruction. Massive, like a lot of destruction, like a huge amount of destruction.
Hold on, guys. I know where you're bringing this right now, but I have to bring you back.
Oh,
We have follow up from our last episode.
Oh, disruption.
Oh, disruption.
Combo breaker.
Weapons of mass disruption. Okay,
Nice.
so
There's our episode title.
there we go. Ding. I wish I had a bell right now. Bing. All right, so we had 5 really wonderful fans of the show that tweeted back at our Ask Loose Cannon. No, what was it called? I should remember. I came up with the hashtag. It's Loose Cannon Explains. And we have some questions from The Last Jedi to go over. And there's some good ones in here. So number 1 is from Chase Tremaine. Thanks, Chase. You got a gift card. One of them was, did you notice this? There was a grammatical error in the opening crawl.
I did not till Chase pointed this out.
Until I told you about it. Yeah, you guys aren't looking at the Twitter, huh? Yeah. Thank goodness there's people like me. Anyway, so okay, I'm going to read the line. So it goes, only General Leia Organa's band of resistance fighters stand against the rising tyranny. Do you guys know did you hear it? Band is a singular noun.
Oh.
And stand is conjugated for a plural noun.
That's advanced.
So it should be band of resistance fighters stands. But the reason why I can imagine is because it's awkward. Because fighters stands is awkward. So it's grammatically wrong, but it's also hard to look at. So you kind of, that's the whole thing of language, right? It's you have to strike a balance between the two. So I understand both sides here.
I can totally imagine Ryan Johnson sitting in the editing booth while they're finishing up the crawl, and then probably catching it. I mean, he's a writer and
how many people are reading this? Like 40 people have got to be reading it once a day, right?
Definitely, and all the script revisions before they even start shooting and whatnot. I'm sure they caught it. They probably just got to a place of what sounds best as opposed to what is most correct.
Or
right?
Whatever the loudest voice in the room was. So no, it's too awkward. No.
And guys, I mean, a lot of The Last Jedi was just all about attacking the rigidity of the Jedi code and morality.
Exactly.
So
which
maybe
includes
they're trying to
grammar.
say something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No grammar Jedis in this one.
Thanks for that one, Chase. I think Chase is a writer of some sort, so this probably was extra galling to him.
Probably was about to walk out immediately.
Yeah. Just like Alex
fun at parties.
Yeah. We know you are, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is from Hi-Fi Critics. Hi-Fi Critics. Oh, that was a good one. I need to tell them to use that. I actually know these people personally.
Hi-Fi.
So Hi-Fi Critics writes to ask, why wouldn't the First Order, or actually I would like to apply this to the Resistance as well, why wouldn't the First Order use gravitational pull from the surrounding systems to gain their spot in the, starfighter pursuit?
So using slingshot themselves,
Yeah.
using the
real physics, right?
Yeah, well, okay. I mean, when you start talking real physics,
there we go. I just ruined it.
Obviously,
there,
right? Yeah. But yeah, well, I don't know if we want to be literal about this, or if we want to be very, think about it from a filmic perspective. I don't know if it would be as, exciting to see this giant dreadnought take a sharp right turn and just go out from behind them, to come back around and be like, we're back, come flying up behind them later. You need the constant pursuit behind them, right? To get that visual intensity sustained. But I think it would be, if I was ever in a Star Trek situation, I would want Hi-Fi Critics to be my captain, because that's the kind of cool-headed shit.
Yeah.
Wookiee noise there.
That's more
that I would love to see my captain pull to try and get us, get us ahead.
That's hard sci-fi right there, you know?
Yeah.
And to that, I would say, well, okay, so say you slingshot, you're the First Order. You slingshot yourself forward based on some kind of gravitational pull, which in reality is only when they get close enough to Crane, right? So that's towards the end, not towards the beginning. But you slingshot yourself enough forward, and you got kind of smaller frigates and smaller capital ships that would just kind of turn around and go back, right?
Yeah.
And then I suppose some could stay behind, and then so you have one behind, one in the middle, and then they can slingshot around to flank the other side. I see it, but again, then they could go in the other direction, and it would be a constant back and forth.
Yeah. And a final point on that one too. It feels like that would be more of a rebel, it's a resistance move to do some tactic like that as opposed to a First Order Empire thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the rebels and the resistance are kind of the guys that use ingenuity with not a ton of resources at hand to do something that's shocking and, cool, right? Whereas the Empire and the First Order are always the people who brute force take this like the straight line approach and just blast through the doors sort of thing.
Right.
So, but still love the way they're thinking on that one.
And they were making a point too, because Hux does say, let them know we're still here. Mm-hmm. So it's more of a, we have more resources than you. We're going to stick it out. We know you're just going to peter off.
Yeah. It's that psychological aspect if you have this giant, reaper of a ship just impending behind you.
And then everyone's favorite Star Wars out for these kind of things is it doesn't use real physics anyway, so forget about it.
But we wanted to jump into it a little bit. So
sorry, Craig, I ruined that one for you. He'll have a follow-up for it anyway. All right, so next follow-up. So Poe, this was the main gripe from Brendan Kahn via the internet at Kahn Brendan. Poe introducing himself to Rey. Yeah, it was a little awkward. Do you guys remember this part?
I don't remember the line for line, but I remember just kind of like awkwardly stumbling into each other and being like, okay, now they know each other. They can hang out in the third movie now. Yeah,
there's no question here. It's just Poe introducing himself to Rey.
But to be fair, isn't that kind of the appeal of Poe's character? Is that he's like this kind of cool-headed pilot, but when it comes to him interacting with Finn or
he's
kind of anybody else, he's kind of a dweeb, like getting slapped by Leia and whatnot and all that stuff. He's kind of just like a lovable dweeb.
Mm-hmm. Well, then also on the other side, no one's ever happy in the Star Wars fandom. If he wouldn't have introduced himself to Rey, it would also be weird, because then everyone would go, "Hey, listen, Poe doesn't know who Rey is, and Rey doesn't know who Poe is. Why would they just be okay with hanging out?" Like, it's at least a nod to the fact that they haven't interacted yet.
Yeah.
So we'd be pissed off about it the other way.
Well, and I saw some people were pissed off that they thought they met in The Force Awakens, or just assumed because they were in close proximity. But let me tell you, I will go whole long group social interactions without introducing myself to someone. If I don't do it in the first 2 minutes, then it just is so awkward.
And most of the introductions in all the previous movies are usually to an effect of like some action scenes happening, and then the person's like, "Come on, come with me," and they have to start. Come on.
That was Schwarzenegger, Patrick.
Yeah, sorry. You have to put a little too much bass in that one, but or Willy Wonka. Yeah.
So next one.
I don't know. I hear "Come with me," and that's all.
Come with me, and
if you want to live.
If you want to live in pure imagine. Okay. Why not switch Holdo with Leia?
That's the southern version.
Holdo for the part where, well, funny you should say southern. With Leia for the part where she jumps to light speed, and Annalie Harbison would love to hear our thoughts on that.
Yeah,
that's why I said southern. Thank you so much. You get a gift card for that one. Yeah, and to clarify, I offered Brendan from our Poe introduction a gift card, but he's in the UK, and he said, save the postage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I feel, from the sad, realistic standpoint, I think each one of these movies has been putting an end to each of the original trilogy characters' storyline. Obviously, we lost Han in Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
We lost Luke in this one, and I think it's logical to assume that their original plan was to lose Leia at the end of the upcoming Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
And due to real life events, that didn't happen. And yeah, so
that seemed like the plan, right?
Yeah, I think that was the plan. Is that they had an idea in mind when they were going to have Leia's character have her accent, her moment of heroism. But yeah, I mean, but it does raise a good question of why did they give such a crazy set piece to this character who we've only known for about 35 minutes as opposed to a more impactful character? It's a good question.
I like where her head's at on this one because it would be an awesome way to go, right? That she was the ultimate sacrifice at the end. And that's even, we mentioned this is what I thought was going to happen when the cockpit is exploded, and she goes out into space for a little bit. I thought that was, not a reshoot necessarily, but I thought that was them going back to kill Leia because Carrie Fisher died in real life. But then again, they would have to get rid of the rest of the performance, which her performance at the end with really actually talking to Luke was really great. Very moving. And you got to remember, if she was the one that jumped into hyperspace, she wouldn't have had that moment.
So two things, and I don't want this to go too long because we actually have a whole episode.
Oh yeah, we do have stuff to talk about.
But one, saw a really cool Twitter thought about The Last Jedi, which got me a little choked up, which was a really great insight. I don't know if it's intentional or not. The original trilogy started with Leia sending a projection of herself requesting help. Luke's story ended, so Luke's story began with that. Luke's story ended with him sending a projection of himself to help Leia.
Yeah, that's
pretty wild. Second thing, how do you guys think would be the best way for Leia to have, ended in the story if we were to have seen her have her demise?
Yeah, and here's the problem with this is this we're always going to have the what if now for forever and ever. Because episode 9 was supposed to be her episode to die in, right? And we don't get our choice of how it happens anymore.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. My only thought is maybe I would have wanted to see her actually attempt some sort of diplomatic means to end something, or like to stall somebody through some diplomatic talk while the resistance does something. Because that's like her thing, right? Is she's a great negotiator and a great strategian.
That's her way of using the Force too, is picking up on people's feelings and using that to negotiate. And she's gonna have to go out in one of two ways. They either blow her up on a ship during the movie or she dies during the crawl. Really, that's it. So anyway, like where your head's at, Annalie, but we wouldn't get the Luke moment if
Thanks,
they did
Annalie.
that. Yep, but I get the frustrations with Holdo too. I mean, I don't want to rehash that. We already talked about it.
I could go on all day.
Yeah, that was Alex's right there. All right. So last but not least, from Ryan Bond, aka Night Pearl. I can't say his username without a pirate accent. Night Pearl. Welcome to the Night Pearl. Anyway,
sounds like the gay club among the Caribbean pirate ships.
I don't want to tell you about the Night Pearl. Okay, so Ryan says, I really disliked that RJ, Ruin Johnson, am I right? Ignored so many JJ setups in the new canon elements, and he misspells canon here. I have to troll him on that one. Elements that it was hard to enjoy. Why didn't the First Order just jump in front of the Resistance fighters and wipe them out? We explained that. Or Kylo just blow up the ship. Well, I mean, he's, okay. Makes no sense.
Yeah, I definitely understand the frustration. It's pretty shared of everyone, with a lot of people not liking the continuation of some of the mystery boxes that were set up by JJ.
No payoff.
So, yeah, I mean, it is frustrating because we've coded the Star Wars movies to a degree where it's like when you see the big ominous shadowy guy in a robe on a throne, he's gonna be a really important character.
Yeah,
he
should be.
Master or whatever, right? And the Last Jedi was the movie equivalent of putting on the parking brake in the middle of a high-speed pursuit and taking a sharp right turn. And so, I mean, there's no real right answer to it. No. I think it is frustrating, but I think it was intentional for them to say like, hey, it actually doesn't matter. Sorry that you thought it did.
Yeah, Ryan, you're not going to like this answer, but I think we kind of have to wait until all three are out.
Yeah,
I mean,
that too.
Next one is JJ's movie, so he could reopen the mystery box, and Ryan's already written a treatment on it, so JJ could kind of marry the two together and have a nice little unity and pay off all of the things that you've invested in the last 4 years of new canon, which it's been 4 years now, fellas. It's been April 2014 till now, so
Wow.
there we go.
Yeah.
And Kylo wouldn't blow up the ship because we explained this last time, but he had he didn't have any backup. So he didn't have enough firepower because the shields were good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was like our first follow-up. I like that.
Yeah, those were fun. I had a real rush going. Well,
thank you, everyone.
Thank you for everyone who
really
hashtagged the hashtag that I made and don't remember. Yeah. Who Loose Cannon Explains. There we go.
Loose Cannon Explains.
Yeah. Friend of the show, Joe Trenzio did a Loose Cannon Explains. He just didn't tag it, so he's got a good one on there, and we'll have to tackle someday. But for another time.
Keep them coming, though. I would love to answer more of those.
For sure. All right, so what did we come here to actually talk about?
All right. Well, through my very ill-timed attempt at a segue, we wanted to talk about WMDs, about weapons of mass destruction in the Star Wars universe. And there's actually a lot of them. The UN would be very interested in the goings-on in Star Wars because there's a lot of bad things being built in labs in the Star Wars universe.
So if you look at that Wikipedia mention of superweapons, how long is that list? Because that is nuts.
It's quite long, and it kind of exposes a treasured but also a ridiculous trope of all Star Wars stories, which there's always a super weapon. There's always, like, instead of them having a MacGuffin, they have a super weapon that binds everything together. And the thing that I loved, and we'll jump into it when we start breaking down some of these different guys, is so many of them, if not all of them, sound like an incredible name for like a death metal band.
I was thinking for like WWE wrestlers.
Or that too. Like they're all these like really intense, dark, extreme names that I think are great, but they're also kind of laughable at a certain point once you just go down the list.
All right, did you guys have like, let's ignore what they actually do, just your favorite name you read? If you were going to start a band or be a wrestler today, what would you call yourself based on these?
I think I liked Deathmark the most.
Ooh, Deathmark?
Yeah.
I'm going with Cosmic Turbine.
I'm going to have to find it again. I can't find it anymore.
You would have been like one of those cheesy wrestlers in the 1970s, right? Right, Alex?
Yeah, like revving up and getting ready to Cosmic Turbine.
Someone splice that in a porno.
Wow. This would be so much better if this was a video podcast because I just did a full body thing.
I can imagine like you really shaking that one.
I'm the Sun Crusher.
I don't know, guys. I'm a big fan of Unidentified Republic Superweapon. I think that one really shakes me to my core.
That would actually be such a badass band name, though.
World Devastator.
The thing is with half of these, or a good number of a lot of these, is they're actually the names of giant like frigates and star destroyers. So those all have pretty awesome names too. But yeah. So I plucked out a couple of my favorites. I don't know if you guys had specific ones in mind that you thought were notable.
Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
World Devastator.
All right. So
Thought Bomb?
they all sound like monster truck names too. So the first one that jumped out at me, and a lot of these actually were from Star Wars: The Old Republic, so it works well with my sort of trope of always.
That's right in your wheelhouse, man.
My wheelhouse, yeah. I didn't even know until I clicked on it, so it kind of worked out. But the first one is one called Planet Prison, and
super
it was
intrigued
actually
by this one.
Yeah, a lot of these naturally, kind of in a way that mimics real life. They initially started out as kind of well-meaning tech that later got weaponized or used for nefarious means. And so initially it was going to be used as a way to like impose tariffs or impose like trade blockades and like a, it's not like the nicest technology, but it's not, weaponized at that point. But it was this basically kind of almost what we've seen in some of the movies. It was like a shield that would be put around a planet, and it would essentially just stop ships from going in or leaving. And when it fell into the wrong hands of the Sith, they were able to weaponize it so that like the ionic power in this atmospheric shield was so strong in this planet prison that any ship that did try to cross it would disrupt all the power in the ship, and the ships would start like plummeting and crashing and whatnot, and cause lots of problems. So that's the planet prison. And honestly, most of the appeal for me is just the name Planet Prison, because it's like Pizza Planet but worse.
Well, I mean, if you flip it, it's Alex's favorite pundit, Alex Jones, Prison Planet. Right? Isn't that still his URL, prisonplanet.com? Or is it Infowars?
I'm actually glad I don't know that.
I actually don't know who that is.
You don't know who Alex Jones is?
Infowars guy. He's the one. I don't want them putting things in the water that
make the frogs gay.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's
boy.
He's like a meatball with a toupee.
Sells a lot of nutraceuticals.
That sounds like a heck of a sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so that's the Planet Prison.
Yeah. So before we go on, I want to just take note of how many of these there are. There are over 75 on this list. Yep. And now they're not all capable of destroying planets because they do different things, like Patrick just described. There are a more subset called the Planet Killers, which are more like your Death Stars 1 and 2 and your Star Killer base. But the whole thing is, there's a long lore of this happening in Star Wars, and as much as I griped about having another one in The Force Awakens, that's just what Star Wars is, man. Like, that's the only way you scare anybody, is having something that destroys multiple planets at a time.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't really think of any popular Star Wars story where there's not something at the heart of it, of something, some looming superweapon. Obviously, Empire Strikes Back didn't have that,
right?
But that was kind of like their in between dealing with superweapons story. So here's hoping that they get a little more innovative with their means of dealing with crisis in these stories. But
another tip of the cap to Last Jedi, though, there wasn't one in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is they kind of thumb their nose at it too, because it's the Dreadnought just gets destroyed in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's another thing. I thought Dreadnoughts was a new thing to the Last Jedi, but there's been Dreadnought class Star Destroyers forever. Like the Super Star Destroyer from the original trilogy is technically a Dreadnought. And I always thought, like, oh, it's not every day you get a chance to destroy a Dreadnought. It's like, that just sounds like such a cheesy line that they added in there, but it's true. That's like been Galaxy's lore for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're hard to kill.
Yeah, it's a real big boy.
Another tip of the cap. Real big boy class Star Destroyer.
Can we please edit it to be big boy class?
I mean, I think might be the Unknown Republic super.
It feels like
real big boy class Star Destroyer.
It feels like that's something Palpatine would order. Like, is it big boy class? Like, yes, sir, it's big boy class. All right, deploy it. And
does
guys,
it have a fridge?
I think what we're learning from Empire Strikes Back and The Last Jedi is that the real super weapon is families falling apart.
Oh.
So, anyways, yeah, that's the Planet Prison. Did you guys have any in mind you wanted to throw on the pile?
Well, so one of the ones I thought was the coolest, and I'm guessing there's others like this, but the Dark Reaper, which, again, another awesome name, but
one of your nicknames from high school, right?
Yes, Dark Reaper.
Batavia Dark Reaper.
So it was a force harvester weapon. So basically what it did, anything within its range, it just like sucked up all the like force energy from any object, killing those objects, and then turn that into a beam. So it's like you're standing over there, it's inside, well, it would be too big to be inside your house, but it's inside your house, and it like sucks up all your family, kills them, and then uses your family's force energy to shoot a beam at you. Like, that is
That sounds like a what's the name of that fighting game from the 90s?
Street Fighter?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. That sounds like a Mortal
Wait,
Kombat
really?
finishing move.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I just
I was being
offend you,
totally
Alex?
sarcastic when I said Mortal Kombat.
Masters
I didn't think
of
anyone would
Terracasai?
forget that name.
No, it was like you know when you got far enough in the battle and it said finish him, and then you would call upon the Force Devastator or whatever it's called, and then it would just suck up all that guy's family and then shoot them as a beam to that guy.
Mm-hmm. So now this thing was like 100 meters wide, so obviously it's not fitting in your house. But I just
It's not fitting in your Mortal Kombat.
No, but that would be the most like devastating use of it. Like, let me suck up your children's force energy to shoot you with.
I really, guys, this is just giving me so many ideas for little Star Wars sketches, like the Dyson guy pitching this product. Like, I wanted to know how to make it better, so I thought, what if it sucked up your family? It's completely powered by their energy. All right.
Oh my god!
moving along.
I created a Roomba that just captures the essence of your dead grandpa to vacuum your house for the rest of eternity.
It's limitless energy that it's running on, and it's completely quiet too.
Just
aside
like your
from the
grandpa's
streaming force.
ashes.
Okay. So the next one, one of my favorites is the Death Mark, which I cited earlier. This one was really cool. It was essentially kind of there. If you took like a mafia weapon and gave it to the Empire. So the Death Mark was essentially a high-powered sniper laser affixed to a satellite. And what it would do is that it could like track anybody on a planet and like go down to like millimeters of of size from up in space, zoom in on that, and then just like track somebody. And so you'd have the Death Mark if they were planning to execute you, and then at the moment they wanted to, they would just like shoot down this laser that would like vaporize you or kill you, immediately. So it was very CIA of them to utilize that. But I thought that was one of, honestly, like if I would like if that was the kind of weapon that they were trying to take out in a Star Wars movie or Star Wars story. That seems a lot more scary to me. It's like that being used as like sort of this harbinger of who's going to get death marked next, So I liked that one. I thought that one was kind of cool.
I like where that's going.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorites is the the ion cannon thing that just awakened a monster. I think this was this in Clone Wars or Rebels? So there was this planet destroying thing, or at least it destroyed. No, here's what it did. It killed a bunch of droids, but it would only kill droids, and it would only kill AI basically. But what it actually awakened a beast on this planet that came out and then like killed everybody in the Republic Army. So this had to have been from Clone Wars. And the name of it was the Zillow Monster. So basically it came out and rampaged and just lists everybody's real estate on the internet.
Yeah, I was going to say, was there a connection there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think maybe whoever wrote that episode just had a thing against like real estate or something,
Well, it totally feels like something that like a hut would use, right?
Right.
As a means to like destroy, competing businesses and properties.
Yeah, exactly. That's the hut super weapon is economics.
We're getting deep here.
Wow.
I like that one a lot because some of these, like some of the best ones here, are ones that are used as kind of sabotaging weapons as opposed to full-on destruction and devastation. So like the Zilla Beast is a great one where it's like they're summoning their own little Godzilla to come up and just trample on things and politely walk back to where it came from.
And that was unforeseen consequence too. So it's like we got rid of everything that was synthetic, but then that caused more organic harm, which is kind of a fun little dichotomy. Good writing.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I like to imagine like I don't know, some like pop song hook playing, and that's what summons the Zilla Beast, or like the beginning of Safety Dance playing, and that's what summons S S S S A A A A F. Okay.
You
Anyways,
can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind. If your friends don't stomp on other planets, then your friends aren't. Okay, I'll stop.
I like that. So another one that actually was a super weapon that was tailored more towards the destruction of droids was the shock drum, which also sounds like an 80s band. The shock drum was...
That was a band that Ross was in the 80s for sure.
For sure, back when he had a mullet.
Mm-hmm.
It was essentially a weapon that was used to put droids out of commission by using vibrations. And like with any of these weapons, they found out like what happens when we turn it up to 11. And it would get so strong that it would literally start tearing people's molecules apart, so that it would start killing organics too at that point, right? So it could even start, tearing planets apart and creating these like terrible earthquakes. And they're probably like, turn it off when it got up there. But that's the shock drum, which, it creates a very strong visual image of the devastation of something like that. And that's, I think to the ones we picked, I think we liked all these because they weren't all just basically a big scary laser blowing something up, right? Like each of these has their own very distinct method of destruction. Like yours has the monster coming up and stomping on everything. The shock drum is vibrating the shit out of everything until it falls apart. The death mark is just this, little snipe of energy coming down and taking somebody out. So those are the ones that I think are really the coolest.
I like the unintended consequences ones because I don't think really the Death Star nor Star Killer, so basically the film referenced super lasers or anything, they don't really have a whole lot of unintended consequences for anybody, but the rest of them seem to kind of have almost like a Joker vibe. It's like, oh, they didn't know who they were talking to. Some people just want to watch the whalebone, that kind of thing. And then like you said with the shock drum, like it ends up being unbearable for everyone else. The other, the ion cannon thing, whatever. Well, there's also Operation Cinder from Battlefront 2, right?
Yeah.
So you played through that, right, Patrick?
It's been a bit, but yeah, the name's familiar.
Yeah, so there's that was the Emperor's dying wish. Have we talked about Sentinels yet?
I don't believe so.
So this is new canon. This is like new Disney canon stuff. That's kind of come through the comics and for Battlefront, where Operation Cinder is basically the contingency plan after Endor, where the Emperor sends out all these droids who are super creepy, by the way, and they are very enticing to me, and I love watching them. But they kind of float, but have a hologram face of the Emperor, and then give messages to approved people of what to do next.
Oh yeah, you meant new Battlefront 2.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the cutscenes, and I love the design of that thing. It is super.
They float. They don't walk, which is kind of cool. And then they they have a really creepy voice when they're not doing the Emperor's voice. You should check it out. But and they're like, you are not authorized, but if you are authorized, you see a hologram of the Emperor telling you what to do next, and it's basically just kill everything, destroy everything.
Protocol, do the
code red. Initiate operation gives you wings. Yeah. But that was also a WMD thing too, because it applied a satellite array around planets, including Naboo. He even went after his home planet, that bastard.
So if I remember correctly, essentially the way that it worked was that as soon as he died, they had a contingency plan in place to activate those things so that they'd still have their grand leader.
Yep, exactly. And the people who were authorized to know this actually knew he was dead. So obviously they would get this message. But other people weren't authorized to know he was dead. So for the first couple of years after the Battle of Endor, everyone was led to believe he was still alive. And that was kind of part of the New Republic struggle, is to tell everybody he's actually dead. We're the New Republic. Let's be a government. Hey. And then, but the other times, the rest of the Empire is like, this is all lies. He's actually, alive and well. He's just in hiding. But the higher ups knew what was going on.
That actually fits really well too, because in The Last Jedi and Force Awakens, it gives a peek into the fact that the whole universe didn't actually know who Luke Skywalker was, or if he was a real person or not. And so in that same means, like, people, it was, even though it had all this futuristic tech and all these great comms devices, so much of news and shaped just by word of mouth, and being able to verify that way and passing on the stories. So I like that a lot, kind of the
information and misinformation.
Exactly.
So now's the time for our segment where we review the weirdest thing on ThinkGeek. This week, the Star Wars Pinache Spatulas. Tell me about it, boys.
Well, it's 11 inches long. It has a clear plastic handle.
Wait,
like
what
any
is?
good spatula does.
Oh.
Huh?
I was like, what's 11 inches long?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
God.
yes.
Sorry. Stop that.
Well,
Stop it.
I'm offended.
Trigger warning.
Also, what does panache mean?
I think it's like pizzazz.
Or gusto, or like,
Yeah. Like a certain je ne sais quoi.
Do they mean panache? Because I'm pretty sure panache is not a word.
P-I-N? Should it be P?
It's P-A-N is a word, meaning flamboyant confidence of style or manner.
Okay.
Maybe regular
tab
Pinache
over.
spatulas are like copyrighted.
Yeah.
If you look up panache, every result is from ThinkGeek.com.
Oh, well, that's their play, because you're going to Google it. All of you are going to Google it right now, and you're going to be redirected to the wonderful folks at ThinkGeek. Okay, so
And why would you not, when this is top rack dishwasher safe?
Exactly. And, it often requires some precise timing that really makes us wish we were more force sensitive. Not only could we feel it when our cupcakes have reached the perfect doneness, just now how the force flow through them, but we can also use our force powers to frost one batch across the room while taking the next batch to the oven. That's just straight from the
How big do they
copy.
think my house is?
Yeah, like across
Who's
the room.
frosting across the room?
I mean, come on, my kitchen is right next to my bed.
My kitchen is my bed.
I don't even bake the batter. I just eat it like goop. I just fill a turkey baster full of it and just shove it into my mouth.
Isn't that
Fun fact about me.
Isn't that the whole model of Soylent?
Oh yeah, but it's not. That doesn't taste like cupcakes.
Tastes like people. Anyway, if you want to check out these cool products or any other products that are on ThinkGeek, you head over to StarWarsLooseCannon.com/spatula and check out this fun item before it goes. And of course, maybe tweet at us your favorite cupcake that you made with these spatulas. They're so pretty. They got a little gold thing on them.
Or you can let us know: Are you more of a panache person? Are you more of a gusto person? Or are you more of a pizzazz person? Or je ne sais quoi?
Yeah, you got that certain je ne sais quoi.
Let us know.
Thanks to the folks at ThinkGeek for supporting us. I'm not asking to see another one in episode 9, but let's not all be shocked if there is one.
What I do like is, like I said before, the majority of these are from video games, and a lot of them are from the Old Republic, the massively multiplayer online game. And reading these made me want to just jump back in and give it another shot, trying to play these, because a lot of the missions are you trying to disrupt them using Planet Prison or whatever.
And there's a lot of
video game.
like Legends material in here too, like Starforge and all these other things that could eventually get folded back in, but I don't know.
So Starforge is actually from Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was basically just like this automated thing that would create fleets based off of sucking energy out of a nearby star. So it was another kind of like indirect weapon where it was like, sure, it had a lot of power, but it would create armies.
A 3D printer,
as opposed to it's basically a big 3D printer.
Okay.
That would use the force and the power of a star to create an army.
Yeah. So let's have a super weapon that doesn't use kyber crystals or star power. I think then I'll be, color me impressed.
Let's do it. Let's do a quick go around to wrap this up. Of what would your guys' ideal super weapon be in the Star Wars universe? What would it do? I'll go first. I'll buy you guys some time.
Sure. Okay.
I would like a super weapon that would be utilized by Max Rebo and the Jizz Whalers. That would essentially just
two separate things, but okay.
But it would use both of them. That's how strong this super weapon is. Use both of them to assault any planet with the loud stylings of this super band. And basically make them yield to their demands by blasting them with that music. Very much in the same way that you see some prisons will start blasting Metallica or, Call Me Maybe or whatever the hell at prisoners to make them lose their minds. This instead would use that music over and over again. And luckily it wouldn't be too cruel because I can listen to that Cantina music over and over again.
Yeah, sure. Or at least like the non special edition version of the Max Rebo Band, where it's like this cool kind of like early 80s funk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so much better than
Yeah.
Jedi Rocks, which is the name of the song that they redid in 1997. No thank you.
Yeah, you just walk around all day just hearing the old classic stuff in the background. That would be like a pleasant way to live, I think.
Like that, like kind of fake kind of oboe sound.
Yeah.
I can't recreate it.
We'll do it in post.
Yeah, we'll do it in post. In post. Okay.
Any ideas from you guys? Any devious thoughts?
I got a devious thought. I mean, any way of mass disabling the Force.
Okay.
So, is Salamiri, why Salamiri, or whatever, those animals from the Thrawn trilogy, like that kind of idea, but on a planet-wide scale, or even a system-wide scale.
Yeah. So it would be like something that could like cancel out if there was like a frequency of the Force, it would kind of cancel it out. That's cool. Nice.
Which
nice.
I thought, you know, when we heard The Force Awakens, I thought maybe that was going to have something to do with it. Not that there was a technological force behind it, but like the killing of the Emperor and Darth Vader in the same day, like just kind of ruined the Force for everybody for a while. You know?
Yeah. Really disrupt the link of the Force or something.
And I'm guessing if it's going to be a Force tool like that, it's not going to be technological. So it's going to be some kind of thing on Korriban, or which was used to be called Mordor, right? Or I don't know. I got that wrong. It's not Mordor, but you know what I'm talking about. The Legends version of what Korriban is right now. I'm sure there's some kind of rune on there that you put into fit the triangular size rune to the right hole, and then all of a sudden it turns on this planetary device that destroys the Force or something.
I like that.
That's my headcanon.
I like it that it feels like it would be like a good propaganda tool too, especially for the Empire, of being like the Jedis aren't a real thing. Like there's no such thing as the Force. You have no power over us, whatever. Turn that on, and then once it gets turned off, oh, that little boy just levitated a cup of blue milk. Look out.
That's not real. Yeah.
Alex, any ideas?
Close us out.
I think a
Cosmic turbine weapon?
a super shrinking weapon. So like it can shrink an entire planet down, and then we could have like a Star Wars Bugs Life movie.
Oh wow.
Using the Disney abilities there.
That's kind of like a Clone Wars or Rebels episode, you know?
So actually, because it's not a real episode if I don't reference something from DC Comics, there's a whole thing in Superman comics where somebody uses something to miniaturize a planet. It's called the Lost City of Kandor, and they put it inside of a bottle. And so people, if they ever have to visit, they just shrink themselves down and they go to the planet by shrinking themselves down to the size of like a little molecule.
Oh, so that's cute.
Yeah. We could do a super weapon that turns you into a pillar of salt when you look back at Sodom and Gomorrah.
Bible reference, there you go. Cha-ching! And that's been the episode. Thanks, everybody. Follow us on Twitter. Talk to us, because, hey, you know, if this episode shows you, if you tweet me a question, I'm going to, you know, answer it on the thing. You know, don't follow us on Facebook.
I just don't have many friends, so talk to me.
You know what? You know, we have a Facebook thing, but Facebook is so before Zuckerberg hearings, so it's fine. Don't follow us on Facebook. Give us a review on iTunes. Of course, the theme song was performed by Charles Laurita, who is just a real mensch. He just, you know, he let us use that awesome song.
He's a real top dude.
Yeah, our ad music was by Kenobi Style, who is the duo Fingers and Santa Kill Magic. I tweeted a link about his discography he put on sale a couple weeks ago. It's awesome stuff. So check him out on SoundCloud and I guess Facebook too. But thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks, guys.